last minute of your life, you want to be something more than a goddamn savage! So we're not as hard, Annunziare negaccio. Leggo some homo notus. Insanity. He watches the games and wait on one. Forbidden sight. He searches under of the shadows is rising. Like this. Oh. Like being food for the immortal. What is happening, savages? You are listening to Immortal Coil, your future minister of whiskey mysticism. Revolution is my name. Oh, fuck that band. And it is Wednesday, the 3rd of November, 2021, and it is time to get savage. 7:03 on the West Coast. I want to welcome you to the Savage Show. Thank you for sitting through my brand new little intro that I made all by myself. I want to remind you that the Savage Show is not for children. This channel may contain strong language, sensitive subject matter, images, and content intended for a mature 18 or older audience. Viewer discretion is advised. This video does contain copywritten content. However, under the Fair Use Act, Section 504C2, Title 17 of the U.S. Code, this content is presented for the purposes of education, entertainment, through the use of parody, satire, critique, analysis, and/or social commentary, by means of subjective opinion. That means I am going to say some fuck words, and I'm going to show you some stuff that I did not come up with by myself. However, in the interest of providing a savage perspective, I will take artistic license and probably get a copyright complaint. But that's okay. I'm doing this for you, the people. Joining us tonight, we got Taylor M. Hail Immortal. My faithful savage. Haven't seen you around for a little bit, sir. Hope everything is all on the up and up for you. And of course, we have the big bad thunder from down under. Random Brad Creator. What the fuck is happening, my friends? I'd like to welcome you to the Savage Show. Go ahead and join me in the toast. Lift high, whatever it is you are imbibing. And say it with me. Here is to us what is like us, not a goddamn thing. That'll regrow the hair on your nuts. In case you are nutless, welcome to the Savage Perspective. I am your host, Immortal Coil. We have had a hell of a week. We got a lot of stuff to cover. And it's funny how the week can sometimes develop in the day or two prior to actual broadcast time. We got some shit to cover. We have Russian shit to cover. We have Star Trek shit to cover. And we have Star Wars things to cover. That's right. It's the Beatles and the Stones. It's Elvis and the Beatles vying for your fucking attention right here on the Immortal channel. The Church of the Immortal exempts you from any and all jabs you may be threatened with. whether it is your significant other pining for your bunghole, or it is the state trying to encroach upon your bodily autonomy. Random Brad says he's drinking coffee. Dude, I'm hoping it's Irish coffee, but even Irish coffee, let me give you a hint about Irish coffee. Get rid of the coffee and just keep the whiskey. That is what we do on the Savage channel. And because of advice like that, put your kids to bed. Please put your kids to bed. Random Brad saying Boba. Boba, flexing Boba. Yes, yes, we will be doing a trailer reaction tonight. Yes. I have actually kept myself away from the trailer because I would rather share that with you, my kind savages. Which means you'll get an honest reaction out of me. I've read some comments online. I don't necessarily want to pollute myself or preload my expectations on this. So we'll be having a genuine experience, and then we will see if Disney is doing Boba correctly. And yeah. It's not Walton's coffee, Random Brad says. Well, I hope not. Something tells me that Walton's coffee might taste like Miss Gaia Storm. You might have some aftertaste. I'm happy for my friend Steven. He seems to be doing well. He runs the Rogue Entertainment channel, and this weekend he has some special guests lined up. Mark with a C and Drunk 3PO. Drunk 3PO I've been friends with for a few years. He is an all right good guy. I knew him before he was a geek, before he was a gamer, and before Gina did too. And then Mark with a C, he is a cool motherfucker. I have only interacted with him through the interwebs. I will be interested to see how well he plays with his royal treeness. The treeness, the penis of the treeness of the Rogue Entertainment. Yes, yes. Fired up, Immortal. Yes, that's what I like to hear. Yes, sir. I did come up with a brand new intro. I hope you guys liked it. It is something that I notice other channels are doing. So to lend that sort of professional credence, I submit it for your liking. Included, sprinkled in that, should you choose to rewind and catch it on the replay, as most people do, you will see that there is a very wide spectrum of geekography covered, and I hope it is to your liking. If not, unfuck yourself and bring yourself up to speed. Listen, diddly do. It's some good shit. It's some really right good shit. Well, I had some like dorky sort of articles that I wanted to go to, but just this shit happened last night that's just so good. I could not let it go. We're gonna go ahead and share the screen. And we're gonna jump to this thing. This is my Twitter. If you do have a Twitter, you may follow me on Twitter. I am Immortal Coil, Immortal_Coil. You'll know it's me because you'll see my logo, the Mitchell Hedges Crystal Skull, and my very own tagline, one of God's own prototypes, a high-powered mutant of some kind, never even considered for mass production. Too weird to live, too rare to die. Yes, that is actually Hunter S. Thompson. If you do not know who he is, unfuck yourself. He is an American treasure. An American treasure. Yes. If you don't have a Twitter, I don't advise you get one because everybody on here is crazy. And we know that when the spin gets crazy, the truth becomes savage. You have to come and listen to some fucker like me tell you like it is because all these other people want you to sleepwalk. We will not have you sleepwalking through life. No. Instead, we will have you coming back at life, sticking out your jaw and daring it to. What's been going on the interwebs? Well, it was Halloween. My buddy Vinny Art made a comic called Shadow of the Kraken. The main hero is Nathaniel Kalin, and I did my damnedest to nail that. Here is my glamour shot. Look at that handsome savage. Look at that. I seem to be dressed like a pirate and holding a blade. However, I'm thinking that that's just how I look most of the time. We did, of course, get a reply from Vinny. Hail, brother. Nice job. You can find his actual artwork, the piece that inspired me, on Indiegogo. Shadow of the Kraken is the name. Back this instant classic today, campaign number 6 from a trusted creator. Vinny is a fine human being as well, a don't take shit type of person, along with other fellow creators such as the Red Gaze. They are both all right guys in my book. So go ahead and buy their books. Get on it. Get on it. Then we had this thing. Holy fucking shit. This just went down last night, people. This just went down last night. Fellow rogue, WES Moody. We got Tommy, the hardest working mod, on this panel. We got Bear, Nerd Fun on this panel. WES Moody runs a show where he goes through and watches what's called Star Trek Continues. Do you guys know what Star Trek Continues is? Star Trek Continues is a project of passion for Mr. VIC MIGNOGNA. VIC MIGNOGNA, who is famous mostly for voiceover work. He did a lot of animated features where his voice was featured prominently. He happens to be a huge Star Trek fan, and of his own good accord, and of the good accord of perhaps 40 other passionate Star Trek fans, TOS fans, Gene Roddenberry's Star Trek. He made a full season of episodes, which was intended to stand as season 4 of the classic TOS Star Trek. We were promised 5 years in space. CBS only gave us 3, despite the cries of blasphemy. Blasphemy. Random Brad says he watched some of it. It was good. Do you mean the show or do you mean the stream? But we're getting there. We're getting there. My buddies, Bear, WES Moody, and Tommy. They are having a happy podcast, and who do you think fucking pops up in the chat? It is none other than VIC MIGNOGNA himself. You see that there. You guys need to come down and walk through the sets, blah, blah, blah. He's kind of bantering with these motherfuckers, and I shit you not, he gets the invite. He gets the link, and we get to have, within the Rogue family of channels, an exclusive interview with VIC MIGNOGNA, Star Trek fan. Star Trek fan. We're all in the DMs, and we finally get the word from either Tommy or Bear. One of them dropped this fucking image. It looks like it's Bear on my Twitter. That holy shit, VIC MIGNOGNA is jaw-jacking with us. What the fuck are we to do? And I was like, is this real? Are you guys shitting me? Did you guys are you guys pulling something? They're like, no, it's real. Holy shit. I jump on. I only get there towards the end, only with enough time to be like, look, dude, thanks for bringing some soul back to Star Trek. Thanks for giving us what CBS and Paramount Plus will not. And I went and listened to it on the replay at work. This happened way too late for any standard operatic human contraptions. But I happened to have a sleepless night, and who knows, maybe a little Wrath of Khan land slug was hanging out in my ear telling me that I had to do something. But I listened back, and there was some really good fucking chat. There is one thing I do want to share with you guys, and it's my favorite part of the stream. And it's not just the part that I happen to be in, but it's actually a point that Vic made that I don't hear made enough. And it's interesting. I will say this, there is a lot of division and vitriol over the shape that the Star Trek message should take. And Mr. Mignogna was very diplomatic and charming in his response. I can tell he's been asked this several times. So this is a piece of the stream from my buddy WES MOODY. Hop on over to his channel and check out the full play. But let's hear from Vic.
And honestly, all of us right here, and I'm pretty sure I'm speaking for everybody in the chat too, we cannot thank you enough for your contributions to this.
Well, I'm incredibly gratified and thankful for that. Thank you so much. You know, we're not their target audience. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, when we talk about the new Star Trek, people always ask me, you know, what do you think of Discovery? What do you think of this? What do you think of that? Well, you know what? God bless. You know what? Live and let live. Isn't that what does IDIC even mean? You know what I mean? Star Trek, the original series of Star Trek was all about inclusion, including people, allowing people to be different, allowing people to love what they love and embrace what they embrace, and not condemn people because they don't love what you love or don't see things your way. I mean, that's the Star Trek philosophy from the very beginning. Infinite diversity and infinite combinations, right? That's what IDIC was all about. And so when people ask me questions, oh, JJ's movies and Discovery, I say, you know what? If it brings a new generation of young people to Star Trek, then God bless. They didn't make J.J. Abrams didn't make those movies for us, you guys. He didn't make them for the 50-year-old, 60-year-old Star Trek fans. They made those movies to bring Star Trek to a new, younger generation. And if you go in knowing that, then you don't get so upset when it doesn't meet up to our hopes or what we would like it to be, because they're not going to go backwards. You know what I mean? And I'm not their target audience, and I understand that. But what I hope is that some young people can walk out of a movie theater and say, wow, that was a really cool movie. Wasn't there a Star Trek series back in the 60s that started everything? And then those kids will go back and watch the original series and understand why Star Trek means so much to so many. So I don't condemn any of the new Star Trek. I'm grateful in as much as it brings new fans to Star Trek.
All right, so that was some very, dare I say it, Yoda level wisdom coming from Vic Mignogna. He did have several things to say that I think is important to sort of pick apart here. Again, I want to refer you back to WES Moody's channel for the complete broadcast. This is a wonderful insight into not only an actor, but a fan. And I know he loves it like we do. I can't really tell from his reply if he is as passionate about the thing in the same way that we are. But he did give some insights that I think is worth picking apart. Okay, he said that the philosophy of Star Trek was best summed up by the acronym IDIC, which stands for Infinite Diversity and Infinite Combinations. And this is supposed to be a Vulcan truism. Now, if you guys, for some reason, don't like Star Trek or don't know what the fuck that means, in Star Trek lore, the Vulcans, which Mr. Spock is a member of that race, used to be a barbaric race, even more savage and brutal than humans and Klingons put together. But at some point, they had an age of reason and embraced logic and cast off their emotions. And through logic, they came up with a very true thing about the universe, is that all things are a part of the one thing that is. And the one thing that is cannot be what it is absent its constituent parts. There's some savage spirituality for you. Gene Roddenberry, in as much as he could within the 60s TV medium, made a truly universal vehicle for human potential. And this included women, people of different colors, people of different nationalities, people who were seen to be our diametrically opposed blood enemies from a socioeconomic political standpoint, embodied by Walter Koenig's Chekhov, right? There's a Russian dude on the middle of a ship that's called USS Enterprise. And what I believe VIC MIGNOGNA is saying is that rather than focus on the division, which we definitely, as the Fandom Menace and as affiliates and spinoffs, whatever you want to call it, part of our passion and the way that we deliver our message tends to get overshadowed at least in the media. It's easy to caricaturize our approach to some of these things. But really what we're saying is that modern audiences are being given a different product than the one that we were given. And the main differences being, at least from our point of view, is that there is an unnecessary amount of modern day issues that aren't so metaphorically couched into the storylines. And it's typically written from a political point of view that is angry or frustrated or on a high horse or feeling superior, as opposed to approaching it from a space of wonder. There's a lot you can do with fictitious alien cultures that we don't get to see on the CBS Paramount Plus approach to this, right? And somewhere in WES Moody's interview with VIC MIGNOGNA, Vic states that when he was brainstorming and writing and coming up with story ideas, the main focus, an absolute rule, was that it's not about flying around in space and blowing shit up and transporting places. That all that visual effects had to serve secondary to the heart of the story, which is something that I appreciated. My only regret is that I did not get into the chat section of the stream sooner than I did, because there is 100 questions I could have thought to ask Vic, and probably some of those things might have got him thinking along a different line. But I think it was very important, and I think Wes handled this very well. It was important to approach this project with a sense of appreciation for what the fans were given, because if we had the resources and the access to actors and sets and so on and so forth, I know that many of us would come up with stories very similar to what we see in Star Trek Continues. Star Trek Continues is available online. He put it up for free. You can find it anywhere. I know that, I should have done this homework beforehand, but if you can figure out the studio name, and I want to say it's like Neutral Zone Studios, something kind of like that. Should I just not be an asshole and guess? I want to say it's Neutral Zone Studios. Star Trek Continues. It's me clacking away. Star Trek Continues, the Neutral Zone. Yes, that's exactly what it is. Neutral Zone Studios. Neutral Zone Studios. Go in there, toss them $1 or $2. They got a tour that you can go see in Georgia, where you can go tour the TOS bridge set that they had constructed. A passion project, something for the fans, by the fans. Something else that often gets overlooked is this culture war. And I might even have something a little bit more to say about that after we get into the Star Wars portion of this program. Is there's so many people out there so clinging to Klingon, get it? Clung to their own convictions and their own sense that their argument is right, that they are unwilling to have a human discussion. It's instantly easier to, and I would say it's almost infinitely easier to characterize another human being as a they or them. And I'm not speaking gender pronouns. I'm talking about the enemy. It's easy to cast somebody as the enemy and forego any possibility of having a rational mind-to-mind conversation. Ooh, Random Brad, yes. Pulling the mod card, yes. StarTrekContinues.com/downloads. Check that fucker out. I want to say there's about 12 episodes. Each are 45 minutes to an hour in length, just like the original TOS episodes were. You can join Wes Moody. He watches that shit all the time and just bullshits on Star Trek. I might have to get on that fucking show sometime. And not just because of VIC MIGNOGNA, but because it's a good fucking show. You know what's funny about the show? And I'll share the screen again. Hang on. What's funny about the show is that, of course, they were not able to use the original actors. The original actors are old and or dead. They were able to cast the son of James Doohan as Scotty, so you can see the family resemblance there. VIC MIGNOGNA, damn fine, William Shatner sort of Captain Kirk look. I know Bones and Spock look a little bit funny, and all these guys look different than you're used to. That's going to be a fucking thing, but give yourself 5 seconds to adjust to the different characters, and you will recognize the noises coming out of their mouth as authentic Star Trek. Okay? Just give you can even pause it and be like, holy fuck, these people don't look right. And then hit pause or unpause it and go like, okay, I'm ready for some Star Trek. Because, dude, I am telling you, there is some genuinely emotional moments. There are clever situations that the Enterprise gets itself into and has to dig itself out. And then the finale perfectly sets up, dare I say it, the eventual course to Star Trek the Motion Picture, had it been done Vic's way. I can't even say it's Vic's way. This is a passion project, a collaborative passion project that Vic Mignogna happens to be the Mignogna. It's either Mignogna like tomorrow or Magnolia like a tasty noodle. I'm sure Mrs. Vic can attest to a tasty noodle. But yeah, this guy is the front man for this project, and I can't congratulate Wes Moody enough for this. And I'll give you guys a little bit of background. We have DMs amongst the Rogue Entertainment family of channels. And there were talks about like, ooh, we could go and get this name or that name, like how I called out fucking Mark with the C and Drunk 3PO. We're like, oh, we got big shit going on, and ooh, we got this and we got that, and we gotta put all these fucking chess pieces on the board, and then Wes Moody, without even trying, gets Vic Mignogna on his fucking stream. Holy fucking shit. Oh, I love this. Random Brad's going to look at these later. You owe it to yourself, sir. This type of Star Trek is what we have been needing, what we have been missing. And if you haven't seen this and you didn't even know that was out there, yeah, enjoy yourself as you unfuck yourself. Taylor chiming in saying only the indies understand what the people want, not the studios right now. That is correct, sir. And I will tell you why. It's because the studio has to sell a product, and they are beholden to the people who pay for the studio to exist. And those people have an idea of what humanity, how they should behave, how they should dress, what they should say, what they're allowed to say, what they're not allowed to say. And that is the hand steering the wheel away from our fucking waking up. See, Star Trek and Star Trek singularly possessed this awesome potential to show humankind what it is capable of and what we can achieve if we can just pull our head out of our asses and embrace our neighbor as a human being, as opposed to seeing them as just solely the enemy. But it's also speaking about a future where we have figured that shit out. Where, you know, like I might not believe in Mohammed, but you're not trying to fuck me over and I'm not trying to fuck you over. So why the hell not? Let's build a ship and fly out there and see what the fuck's out there. Maybe a guy in China invented a fuel source that we could use. Maybe there's a guy in Bosnia who knows how to fly the fucker, you know? Maybe there's a guy on a different star that we don't even know about that can, you know, feed the entire planet with just like a flower seed, you know, just wild shit like that. And then not only that, but like, okay, we as a human race heal ourselves. We heal the human condition and thus qualify ourselves to take that intergalactic stage and take our planet, our culture out into the stars to see what's there. It's like we earned the right to pull up the chair to the big show. You know, that is a very powerful image. And that is something that has actually changed the shape of the development of our space program, at least the public space program. You all know that I advocate the secret space program as well, but that's a different show. It's a different topic. It's influenced astronomy. It's influenced physics, theoretical physics, right? And that's a very powerful message. And we know that that is something that is anathema to the powers that were. I would love to say that one day, the powers that were. It's a divide and conquer. It's a strategy as old as Babylon, the Tower of Babel. Remember the words. Anything that they can imagine to do, they can achieve. So let's go down there and confuse their language so that they cannot understand each other. And isn't that what SJWs and all that shit do now? They try to confuse the language so we can't even talk to one another. Big words, big words. Random Brad saying that's a huge ask. I don't see that happening in a few lifetimes, the way that the world spins in a moment. Possibly not, but that's why we need to keep messages like this alive. And that's why the sanctity of what is being said in these shows need to be preserved. Okay. Mikey Spock, the idea of it, you know, let's have a powerful whammon flying through space and all this shit. That is not a revolutionary idea in the world of Star Trek. Nichelle Nichols did that. Fucking Majel Barrett did that in the pilot episode that they did not want widely spread. But what they were having her doing by making other people appear foolish or putting down categories of people in order to show the superiority of others is so far opposed to the values of Star Trek that it is sickening. And I think that Alex Kurtzman should be ashamed of himself for even putting that on screen. Gene Roddenberry's dead hand should come out from the grave and slap the shit out of you, except I hope the hand is as large as Apollo's hand. You know what I'm saying? That big green fucking force field hand. Yes. Talking civil to aliens and gods was a show for me. Yeah. And that it was a very good point too. So many times they encountered beings that would have boggled the minds of more primitive humans. But time and time again, the captains of these ships said, you are impressive and you possess something that I do not, but you're still a person and I'm still a person. So let's talk about people and figure out this fucking situation we're in. Very good. I liked Star Trek for that sort of civil piece, and I liked Star Wars, and this is going to sound funny, because of the diversity of the aliens that we encountered. Humans were but one species in a galaxy full of different, what we would call creatures, but they're not creatures, they're people. You know, and that's the sort of thing, like when aliens or ETs or however you want to call it finally do make contact with us, we can't think of them as aliens. We can't think of them as, ooh, aliens. No, these are people who got on a ship on their own planet or on their fucking space-based whatever, flew over to here to talk to other people on a different planet as people. And I'll tell you what, same thing I would say to any human. Don't let anybody talk down to you or tell you that you're less of a person because of your race, ethnicity, belief system, whatever. And I don't care if they come from the rings of fucking Uranus. Nobody has the right to tell you that you are less than magnificent. So yeah, watch Star Trek, motherfuckers. Star Trek continues. Star Trek continues. I love that shit. You're gonna love it too. And once again, shout out Wes Moody. You know, go fucking go check out the whole thing. It's about 3 hours long. Included is the final episode, I believe, of Star Trek Continues. They watch it in its entirety. Vic chimes in, and then he jumps on, and it's kind of like, you know, a behind the scenes DVD. It's fucking badass. It is badass, and it's good to know that there's creators, there's like high placed creators, if you will, that believe the same thing about entertainment as we do. You know, and it's telling. VIC Mignogna was targeted for cancellation not too long ago, and I think Star Wars girl Anna talked about that. How they were trying to accuse him of inappropriate contact with an underage, with a minor, with a female fan, you know. So it's, you know, it's terrible when he does it, but when Joe Biden does it, it's cute or it's misunderstood. And I don't even think Vic Mignogna did that. I think they were just trying to assassinate his career. Biden, though, we have fucking proof that he does that shit. Not my president. Not my president. All right. That was quite a load. I think I need to wet my whistle following all of that. We're only about a third through the show. I think I'm gonna go and spread some invites to this show. If you're in the chats and you know where to find this, you're welcome to come on and jaw jack with me, because this next topic is juicy, and I am perfectly capable of pontificating about that. But sometimes it's fun to talk to friends. It's fun to talk to the people who help make the world go around. So I'm gonna drop that in the cotton fuckers, and then I'm gonna go and drop this other one in the rogue fuckers. And if either of you want to come and fuck with me, then the link's in the thing. Come knock upon my door, and we will talk some shit. Okay. Taylor, I'm nobody's president. Yeah, I might have to go and move in with Random Brad, except that's Australia. I don't know. Brad, you and me and Lethal Lightning can go and party or something. Yeah. Okay, what else has been going on? Well, we said it was Halloween, where people go and dress up as this and that. I also found out it was a slightly different anniversary. One, if you can tell by the shape of the tweet, one that will live in infamy. One that will live in infamy. What does this say? Today in Star Wars, tweeting out 30th October 2012. Today in Star Wars history. George Lucas. Time for me to pass Star Wars on to a new generation of filmmakers. Fucking sitting there with the pen that couldn't. Next to Kevin motherfucking Feige. Okay, I gotta zoom in on this because this is like one of the defining strokes of the fandom menace. Okay, this set up everything that came later, everything that was possible. George Lucas sitting there with the pen in his hand, about to accept $4 million in cash and stock options. Has that look, that trusting, fucking doe-eyed look on his face. He looks like a kind Santa Claus. No tension in his body language at all. He looks a little bit like surprised by the camera. Fucking Disney though, he has a perfect businessman smirk. He's like, "Hi, I'm business casual. With this, we're gonna usher in a brand new era of Disney Lucasfilm." Little did George Lucas know several knives were aimed squarely at his back between his scapulae. One knife says Kathleen Kennedy on it, and the other says Kevin Feige on it, because these two people promised him that they would be careful with his creation, and careful they were not. Careful they were not. So that happened. That happened over the weekend. That's a sad piece of news. I want to Taylor, yeah, he was a scumbag. Complete scumbag, absolutely. We're gonna take a shot for what may have been, what could have been. The crime being that that George Lucas had treatments for a sequel trilogy, and that they cherry picked some things, but they completely had their own agenda. And they had their own writers come in and do all this fucking bullshit to our heroes that had nothing to do with the integrity of their characters or the arcs that they went on, or the natural outcome to their situation. Mahler, one of the reasons why I got into this career, royally hands out and lays down every single fucking absurdity. You know, the shape of the galaxy, a mere 20 years after the fall of the empire, and suddenly you have to deal with bullshit again. It's implausible, it's improbable, and it's bad writing. It's bad storytelling. Character arcs, that's what I would like to discuss. Character arcs. I came upon this article courtesy of Mark with a C. Mark with a C is a fandom menacer. He, in my mind, he is as good as all the big channels, if not better, because of his personable style and his delivery. He's a good dude. He has a good fucking perspective about shit. Dare I say he has a savage perspective about shit? Yes, I do believe I will. But he also has a sort of like honesty and geniality that I really appreciate, and I find myself listening to his videos more and more, you know. He turned me on to this. He actually put out a video. It's like a 10 or 12 minute video. And it got me going because of what this writer insinuates. Okay. This is from CNET by Mark. What the fuck does that say? Mark Serrels? Mark Serrels? Let's fucking look at this guy. Mark Serrels. He's in Sydney. Ooh, did you hear that, Random Brad? He's in Sydney. Why don't you go pay an outreach from the Church of the Immortal? Let him know that we say hi. Nothing violent, of course. Look at this guy. He's a member since 2018. His bio, a little bit about him. He is an editorial director at CNET News. He oversees the Australian CNET team, and he has been writing about tech and video games for most of his adult life. In his spare time, he likes to climb rocks, eat porridge, and make fun of all your favorite movies. His tech interests are deals, home theater and audio, smart appliances, Google News and products, how to tech, Apple News and products, cell phones, and car tech. This guy is a stripy shirt wearing little ginger man. And what he has to say about Star Wars is he learned a lot. He learned a lot. What my 8-year-old son taught me about motherfucking Star Wars, and there's Han. Trying to show some gumption. He's trying to be the bigger man. Random Brad. He's like, I'm gonna go get a beer. Just pause the show until I get back, will you? Yeah. Go tell Mark we said what up while you're up. Fucking and so here is Leia kissing Han. Okay, Han Solo. For those of you who remember, this is Return of the Jedi. He saw Luke and Leia talking out on the fucking the front porch, the Wookiees' front porch. Or I'm saying it's the Wookiees, the Ewoks. Oh, let's drink some more. How about that? Solo saw Luke talking to his sister out on the Ewoks' front porch, except he did not know that they were brother and sister. All he heard was that they had an intense discussion, and then Star Wars, of course, the first movie, they kind of teased a love triangle, perhaps. But then we found out that Luke and Leia were siblings in the second movie. And then on this third movie, Han was trying to be like, look, normally I would have just fucked you anyway, but if you have feelings for this guy, I'm going to step aside and I'll do the right thing. And me and Chewie will get on the Falcon. And then she's like, shut up. And she just sticks her tongue in his mouth. And he's like, oh, okay. I guess it's all right. But this image is being played for effect by Mark Serrels. He says, the caption says, wait a minute, what? I don't know. Like I wish I had an Australian here to do the voice, but it says, okay. At one point, halfway through Empire Strikes Back, my 8-year-old son started frowning. I don't like that guy. Which guy? I asked. He pointed at the person on the screen. That guy. He wasn't pointing at Darth Vader or the Emperor. See, I can't do Australian, so. Or even the double-crossing Lando Calrissian. No. He was pointing at Han Solo. Entertain your brain. I don't think I will on CNET.com. Han Solo, the hero. One of the most adored characters in Star Wars canon. What could my son, my own flesh and blood, possibly have against Han Solo? But let's rewind. And I want to hear like a rewind, like a... For the last week, I've been introducing my son to Star Wars, a series I've loved since long before he was born. As a kid, I enjoyed watching Star Wars. As a teenager, I was obsessed, delving into the endless novels and comics that made up the Star Wars expanded universe. I collected toys and all manner of Star Wars junk. More importantly, I watched the movies over and over again. We see an image here of Darth Vader tempting Luke with the dark side. Join me and I will complete your training. Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father. The caption similarly states, I had to correct a lot of Dark Vaders with my kids. I think a lot of us do. Yeah, Dark Vader. But what he's doing in this paragraph for the last week, blah, 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 he is laying out his geek credentials. He is saying, look, I'm one of you. I watched Star Wars. I was obsessed. I read all the fucking novels and comic books. He's trying to come off like Ryan Kennel or something. He is trying to come off like a Lethal Lightning. Now, this guy lives in fucking Australia. I would love for Lethal Lightning to call him and challenge him to like Star Wars, like a Star Wars showdown. A Star Wars showdown. Who would win? My money's on Lightning. Back to the article. But with the most recent trilogy, my love of Star Wars has soured. My love of Star Wars has soured.
I love The Last Jedi, but loathe The Rise of Skywalker. And I've been indifferent to almost everything else produced since Disney acquired Lucasfilm in 2012. See, I start sounding Scottish. Partly because, but see, like, I want to make fun of this jerk. Like, what does a gay Australian sound like? Random Brad says, I think it's the weather up that way. It turned you gay, so I hear. I never stopped there long enough to find out. I know, right? Random Brad, I'd like you to go and paddle this guy's ass with an inverted cross, if you will, right? He goes, no worries, Dundee. Yeah, I know, right? That's about as let's go put some shrimp on the Barbie and drink Foster's. That's what Australians do, right? Right? We throw boomerangs. Yeah. All right. Partly because of that, I was in no rush, Mark continues, to introduce my oldest kid to Star Wars. But it was Saturday night. It was all right for a fight. That's what Elton John thinks. It was Saturday night movie night in the Mark Serrell household. And there was nothing better to watch. There is nothing better to watch than Star Wars. There's nothing better to watch than Star Wars. Prove me wrong. And that's how the discussion started. The Han Solo discussion. I almost need Snoke to say that. Han Solo. What the hell's wrong with Han Solo? I asked, almost defensively, as my son shook his head in disgust. He's just so rude. That's his thing. He's a rogue, a rapscallion. That's his whole thing. Then my son said something that stopped me in my soy drinking fucking PC correct CNET.com writing tracks. He said, she said stop and he didn't stop. All right, because I'm going to stop right there. And I wish I had some fuckers to deliberate this thing with. She said stop and he didn't stop. Okay. I'm going to see if I can find that clip. Because if I'm going to get copyright struck, I might as well show pieces of Star Wars. Han kisses Leia. Empire. Yeah. There we go. Okay. I'm going to play this for you. We'll do a little bit of a breakdown. And now it's time for a breakdown. We'll come back to you in a moment. I want to share this this lovely movie. This movie that we all know beat for beat, minute by minute. For many of you, I don't think I have to overstate this case, but the article contends she said stop and he didn't say stop. Okay? How did she say it? Let's look at the interplay here. We got Leia, she's fucking around with the Falcon's parts. Okay. Okay. Here comes Han. Okay. Han's going like, hey, what you doing there? And she's like pissed off. Okay. Remember earlier in the film, they're like flirting. Part of their dynamic is that it's like a fight or fuck dynamic. Have you guys ever heard that term, fight or fuck? This is what this is. Hey there, what you doing? Come here, let me help you.
Hey, your worship, I'm only trying to help.
Would you please stop calling me that?
Sure, Leia.
You make it so difficult sometimes.
I do, I really do. You could be a little nicer, though. Come on, admit it, sometimes you think I'm all right.
Occasionally, maybe. When you aren't acting like a scoundrel.
Scoundrel?
All right. Let's look at this right here. Okay. So what this kid fails to understand is this. Yes,
Yes, succinctly said, it's a fucking flirt scene. Yes, it fits. Yes. Okay. What these people fail to understand is that, and you'll read this in statistics, 70% of what you say is not in your words. 70% of what you say is in your actions. Do you understand what I'm talking about? It's energy, it's dynamic motion, it's intent. Okay? So she hurt herself fucking around on the Falcon. So he tries to help her and she's like, "No, I don't need your damn help." And then she's like, something hurts. So he's massaging her fingers, which is a way to establish contact, right? He's going to look in her eyes and tell her something, and he's stroking her hand. Okay. He actually admitted, yeah, I'm a jackass sometimes. I'm sorry, but hey, you kind of like it a little bit. And she goes, well, when you're not being a scoundrel. And he's like, oh, a scoundrel. And see, you know what he's doing? In the business world, I call this overcoming an objection. Okay. Leia likes Han in spite of all this shit that she thinks is bad. Now, I understand Han Solo's a handsome guy, and it's not just handsome. It's about owning a space. And it's honestly, and this is something that Mark with the C said that I agree with. There is an attack on masculinity. And there is an attack on femininity. I liked how he mentioned both of those. Mark with a C. Go check out his channel. There's a very good article very good video about all of this.
Scoundrel. I like the sound of that.
Stop that.
Stop what?
Stop that. My hands are dirty.
My hands
Okay.
are dirty too. What are you afraid of?
Now check that out. Check out her body language.
Afraid.
Afraid. Okay. Does this sound like a woman who is objecting? No. This looks like a woman who is searching for a reason not to fall into this. Okay. She is craving this on several levels. She is creating this moment with him. And she's just like, well, I can't, you can't touch me. My hands are dirty. And he's like, my hands are dirty too. What do you think's going to happen? We're going to get dirtier. And like, it's almost like, are you trying to get dirtier? Should we go and wash up together? Is that what you're suggesting? Just shit like that. But she's clearly into it. This is what's called, and I wish like, it's like, okay, pull up a chair. You're going to go to man class. This is the Savage Spirituality man class. Men, take note. This is what I like to call the doggy dinner bowl look. She is totally just like googly eyed for him. And look, yes, I understand this is an actor and an actress. There is some actual truth to this dynamic, as we all know. And by now, I hope we all know that Carrie Fisher and Harrison Ford were actually fucking at one point in Star Wars.
You're trembling.
I'm not trembling.
You like me because I'm a scoundrel.
You like me because I'm a scoundrel. Okay.
There aren't enough scoundrels in your life.
I happen to like nice men.
I'm a nice man.
Very nice.
Okay. Show me cnet.com. Where in here did she say, how'd you put it? She said stop and he didn't stop. She's not protesting. He is not mouth raping her. I would actually counter that he is liberating her from her own self-restraint. He is giving her permission to play. He's giving her permission to play, right? Now, in a perfect world, a man would go up to a woman, hand her his resume, and she'd go, wow, you've checked all the important points. Let's go and get freaky. But that's not how it how it works. Attraction's not a choice. Women don't think about attraction logically, and honestly, men don't either. You can't talk your way into being somebody's boyfriend. If you have, then you know that that's a shitty way to start a relationship, and you know that relationship's not really going to go far. But she is not objecting, not in the way that this article insinuates, and it is it's poor writing at worst, and at best it's an attempt at character assassination. Okay, we're gonna get back into this. Okay, I just needed to show you that scene for context so that you know what this motherfucker is writing about. Okay, we need to know what his son, his 8-year-old son, is going to teach him about being a man. That hopefully he's lived longer than 8 years. At some point, he fucked in the past 10 years, producing an 8-year-old son. But what does his 8-year-old son says? She said stop, and he didn't stop. Frozen in carbonite. Okay, we just watched this scene. It's the famous quote here. CNET continues. My 8-year-old was referring to Princess Leia, and specifically the scene in The Empire Strikes Back, where Han Solo kisses her for the first time. Never mind the fact that Han Solo is, canonically, 32 years old when he meets the teenaged Leia for the first time. She was 19. She was supposed to be 19, the same age as Luke was in Star Wars, in the New Hope. Okay, I would argue that she's closer to 21 or 22 by this point. But we've already established that people as young as 14 can be the head of government in Star Wars. Okay? So they're trying to make it sound like Han Solo was leering at a piece of underage ass. He was not. 18, just like we're saying in the fucking 502.17c of the U.S. Code, is legal age. You're past the age of consent. Okay? So they're trying to be like, 32 years old is icky to be doing stuff with a 19-year-old. Okay. And here's the other thing is flip the script. What if it was a 32-year-old woman pressing her luck with a 19-year-old male? Is that icky? Would that be weird? CNET? So never mind that. Leia does tell Han Solo to stop, and then he starts massaging her hand on board the Millennium Falcon, and Han Solo, in fact, does not stop. It's a bit weird. Yes, it is weird. And it's weird because you don't understand anything, CNET, about what men and women do, what they actually do. Okay? I do understand that you have an agenda to push and an axe to grind. It didn't feel weird when I was a kid or a teenager in the 90s when I watched the movies on repeat every weekend. But it did feel weird in the context of what I, alongside my wife, have been teaching my kids about the consent since they were sentient. Just simple things like if someone says stop, you stop. Okay. Now, again, I want you to ask yourself. She goes, stop it. My hands are dirty. Okay? Versus stop. I need you to fucking stop right now. This is not cool. Stop. Two totally different things. Okay? Han Solo was not coming off inappropriately at all as a man in that scene. Like I said, Han Solo liberated Leia Skywalker. I like that sound. Leia Skywalker, Amidala Naberi, right? He liberated her. She is so stuck in her head about being a princess and being a leader of the rebellion and all this shit that she forgot that she was a woman and that she has a woman's needs. Now, only a woman can decide what her needs are, true, but that doesn't mean that she doesn't need them. And sometimes all a woman needs is permission to step away from the bullshit and just to have fun and enjoy life. That's what Han Solo was for her. She was her diametric opposite in so many ways. Okay. And also, I tend to think that CNET is taking this particular incident out of context for what Han Solo represents in the Star Wars universe. Random Brad says it all. Deep down, she loves the bad boy image he portrays. Absolutely. Because all she knows is like duty. She's a fucking princess. She's had her ass kissed her whole life. But she wants to get out there. She wants to get in the Senate and point a finger at the Emperor's mangled face and say, this galaxy is fucked because of you. It's so fucked that I'm going to help expose this battle station you're building. That's all she knows. And then Han Solo comes walking around with his fucking balls swinging so loud that it goes bum, 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 bum. Darth Vader doesn't have balls. And she goes, who the fuck is this? You know, they came in to rescue her. They didn't have an escape plan. He's walking around with a big walking carpet. Who the fuck is this guy? And Han Solo says, you know, either I'm going to kill her or I'm starting to like her. That sort of like antagonism, that central difference in their characters was part of what attracts them to each other. And honestly, if you're going to say that Han Solo is wrong for massaging her hands when she goes, stop, it's dirty. And it's completely all right for Kylo Ren to like FaceTime through the Force with Rey while he's like topless. And she's like, oh. And he's like, I have my shirt off. Do you like me with my shirt off? And she's like, your shirt is off. Yeah, my shirt's off. You can see my tats. Do you like my tats? Like, how is that cool? How is that cool? That is more intrusive because he's inside Rey's head. She can't not look at it. You know? Princess Leia at least has a C-3PO to help cock block. Right? Brandon Brad's dying. It's the truth, man. It's the truth is savage. When the spin is weird, the truth is savage. Teaching his kids about consent. It occurred to me that my son was feeling the... Here's the rub, folks. Here's the spin. Here's what CNET wants to sprinkle in your rice pudding and have you take with you. It occurred to me that my son, it occurred to me that my son was feeling the same level of discomfort I felt when watching James Bond slap women on the butt in Goldfinger. Slap women on the butt in Goldfinger. It never occurred to me that a series like Star Wars could reflect cultural shifts, but here we were, and here I was, being taught a simple and valuable lesson about a movie I'd watched literally 50 plus times. Okay? This is the virtue signal right here. He's like, I can't believe in my privileged white male household, my comfortable house in Australia, that my son, my 8-year-old boy, had to point out the absurdities of adult human culture because some women prefer to be chaste and some men prefer to be people who chase. There are some women who will not talk to you unless you nut the fuck up and come over and get in their face. You know, not everybody is like a pass notes in the classroom motherfucker. Some people are bold. How come Lando Calrissian isn't being held under the same thing? You know, he fucked a robot. He probably fucked Lobot too. He fucked Lobot and L337. But it's okay. There's Boba Fett and some other some other bounty hunters looking at Han in shame, looking at him with disappointment. They're like, Han, how could you? She clearly said her hands were dirty. What if we just misheard her and she was saying my hands are dirty? H-A-N-S. You know, Lando calls Han Han. What if she was saying my hands are dirty? And yeah, Han was a dirty motherfucker, wasn't he? My hands are dirty. He's like, that's right, baby. It's impossible and in a sense almost unfair to ask a movie released in 1980 to accurately reflect progress made on social issues over the last decade. Progress. What progress might that be, pray tell? CNET.com. Here's a parentheses. And some women have argued that actually Han Solo is okay? Question mark. I don't know how to read that. And some women have argued that actually Han Solo is okay. But we live in the post #MeToo era. Thank you, Harvey Weinstein. When brave women have forced men to reevaluate dangerous and common attitudes toward women. Dangerous and common. Attitudes that were reinforced at least in part by characters like Han Solo in movies as frivolous as The Empire Strikes Back. So right away, they are going to cluster all men into this disgusting man category. And I'm not saying that some men aren't disgusting. Women are disgusting too. Some of them. But to do this is as irresponsible as, saying all black people steal. Or all gays are flamboyant partiers. You know? There's a funny Louis C.K. joke, and I have to invoke his name because he kind of found himself in some sticky situations along these lines. Louis C.K. says, back in the day, you used to call people fags, not because that they were gay, but because what they were doing was bullshit. You're a fag. You're like, you can't do that. That's you're being a fucking fag. Knock it off. And he even went so far as to be like, stop being a fag and suck that man's dick. Very funny. We have to admit that Louis C.K. is funny, even though the shit that he did probably was not funny in a personal setting. But that joke was pretty fucking good. My 8-year-old son wasn't thinking about that when he said Han Solo was an asshole. He was just reflecting the environment he's growing up in. He is parroting the way that you are teaching him to think. There's a difference. There is a difference. Okay. And I don't know how to explain it except to say in the Roman Empire, like let's say Roman Empire AD 50, it was not okay to be a Christian. He's a Christian? That's fucking weird. He's a Christian. Why doesn't he believe in Jupiter like we do? Oh, because he's a Christian. Well, what the fuck is wrong with him? Well, he believes that a man died on the cross. And well, what did the man die on the cross for? He said he was the king of the Jews. Oh, did he raise an army and try? No, he said to live and let live and treat other people the way that they want to be treated. Oh, well, fucking kill him. I don't even believe in Jeebus. As a friend of mine said, after I relayed this story to her, that the original Star Wars trilogy is definitely getting close to that unwatchable for new audiences threshold. What in the fucking fuck did you just say? As a friend of mine said, after I relayed this story to her, that the original Star Wars trilogy is definitely getting close to that unwatchable for new audiences threshold. Now, back the fuck up. What the fuck are you talking about? Okay, what they are talking about is actually amongst the they, thems. There is stuff aligned opposed to their internal philosophies that makes this shit unwatchable. And because I write for CNET, I think that you should think that too. This does say that it's classified as an editorial piece, correct? Commentary. Okay. All right. Commentary. This is not news. This is commentary. Okay. The action scenes are sluggish. Sluggish? That's not a fucking exomorph or whatever the fuck it's called, that space thing. That's not a joke about that, is it? The special effects that once seemed timeless are showing their age. And it's understandable. The Empire Strikes Back is over 40 years old at this point. But culturally, that's where Star Wars has aged the worst. We can kick and scream and complain, but ironically, it's a transition that will ultimately take place without our consent. I just thought we said that consent was a good thing. Make up your mind article. A transition that should force us, and by us, I mean men, oh my God, to ask questions of ourselves. Why did Han Solo's behavior feel normal? Why didn't it feel weird? Because it is normal. The only thing that's weird is the way you're thinking about this. Why did we take these strange social norms for granted and potentially replicate them in our own interactions with women? It's an opportunity to examine the cues around us with a fresh set of eyes. When our kids tell us something is weird, we should probably listen and potentially learn something in the process. But you weren't examining the cues. You were not looking at Leia's body language. And then why is it okay for her to mouth rape Han in fucking Return of the Jedi? At the end of Empire Strikes Back, Han Solo is captured by Darth Vader. Ultimately, he becomes frozen in carbonite, frozen in time. He becomes essentially a frozen facsimile of himself. And I hope he I hope he went to his carbonite room and thought really hard about how he was mouth raping Leia after he was clearly violating her will to not be, to not have her dirty hands cleaned by Han Solo, reputed gangster. Han Solo can't be anything other than a product of his time. So maybe we shouldn't judge him for that. But our attitude shouldn't suffer the same fate. I was surprised, shocked even, that my 8-year-old son hated Han Solo. But ultimately, like Solo, he's a product of his own time in the best possible way. And in our current context, given what we now know, he's absolutely right to hate him. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. Let me talk to you about Han Solo, savages. Let me tell you who Han Solo was. And I'm going to zoom in on this image because the Han Solo that I want to talk to you about is not the Han Solo that this article tries to characterize him as, okay? Absolutely correct, sir. That biatch doesn't even know how to be a man. I guarantee his missus wear the pants. Yeah. And apparently his 8-year-old son, who has zero experience in women outside of his mommy. And I'm thinking maybe the author has zero experience outside of his son's mommy as well. Han Solo is a scoundrel. He is an asshole. His known associates are gangsters, bounty hunters, and pirates. He is supposed to be a piece of shit. He's supposed to be an opportunist. He's supposed to be selfish. He's supposed to be narcissistic. These traits were baked into the script way back in 1975, and you can see them in the auditions on the Star Wars fucking extra DVD. You can see it in Empire of Dreams, the documentary. All the various actors had to act with the same swagger because of who Han Solo intrinsically was. The first time we see him, Han Solo is in a shady ass motherfucking bar on edge of civilization, asshole of the galaxy, Tatooine. He shoots a man in cold blood. Now, that man wasn't even any better than Han Solo was, but this is a cutthroat world. Motherfuckers are coming after your scalp. Han Solo dropped a shipment of spice. Greedo was going to bring Jabba his head, so Han Solo shot first. Han Solo was a dick. He was a piece of shit. And he was shown humanity through the efforts of his friends. Han Solo was taught humanity by a Jedi and a princess. And I want to think for myself that Chewie this whole time was going, you know, you're fucking better than this, right? I'm helping you because of this life debt thing. You got me out of some bad shit and I owe you for that, but you're acting like a fucking jerk. And you can see that. You can see that in the fucking hangar scene on Yavin. You know, Han's walking around with this fucking barrel full of, I want to pretend like it's those Lego pieces. Like that's what the credits look like. But he's walking around with that shit. He's like, I know what I'm doing. I just got paid. And she's like, well, if money is all you fucking care about, then I'll make sure that's what you get. Now get the fuck off my planet. I got an invasion to plan. And Luke's like, well, take care of yourself, fucker. But that's what you're good at, ain't it? And Han's like, I know what I'm good at. I'm good at flying my ship full of money. Yeah. But what happens? Han Solo takes a chance and he decides to care about some people. And he ends up helping Luke destroy the Death Star. Luke took the shot, but Han Solo cleared him. And Darth Vader was so focused on who is this kid with the Force that's flying on my Death Star that he didn't even sense Solo. And this seems to be a fatal flaw for the Sith. Darth Maul couldn't sense the danger that Obi-Wan was about to wreak on him because he was too smug and satisfied with his apparent victory. Palpatine could not foresee the possibility that Vader would betray him because he was so focused on destroying Luke. And Vader in that moment was so focused on Luke even being there and being strong with the Force that he discounted Han Solo. And Han Solo, just like a beat puppy almost, you have one good experience and you're still like, well, that was all right, but I'm sure people are pieces of shit anyway. I guess I'll hang around. This chick ain't so bad. You know, he's like the classic grumpy motherfucker. Han Solo is kind of like a young curmudgeon. And sure, you get, if you want to analyze his flaws as a man, okay, any guy who walks around like that is obviously insecure about some shit, but he also has a reason to be cocky because even though he's not a Jedi or has Jedi midi-chlorians or whatever the fuck, he can fly like a badass. You know? Han Solo's character arc throughout Star Wars teaches us that misfits can have a home too. That it's okay to come home. It's okay to come home out of the wild. That people will love you. That it's okay to be tender or to show concern for your fellow man. That is what Han Solo is. And this article, by focusing on this one little scene, because your son has been told something at school, you know, well, she said stop and he didn't stop. She said stop and he didn't stop. Holy Australian toaster biscuits. You're right, Junior. You know, it's like his mother's reading books to her husband, and this guy's like fucking he's probably trying to get laid, right? He's trying to show his woman that he understands woman's issues so that she'll fuck him. Isn't that ironic? All right. Turn this shit off. Get that shit off my screen. I think your 8-year-old son needs to watch more Han Solo. And I think he needs to do an essay. And I think he needs to turn it in to Random Brad. Random Brad says, yep, Taylor, that's Sydney Oz for you. A whole different class up that way. Mostly all stuck up rich as all hell. Yeah. And you notice how rich people like to tell poor people what the fuck to do in their own communities from behind their safe fences? We're in touch with those poor fuckers. They're so poor and dumb that they don't even know. They don't even know how poor and dumb they are. Oh God. All right. I hope that the Boba Fett trailer has some good news for me. Sharing the audio this time. I've learned my lesson. The Book of Boba Fett. Do I have to do this? Yeah, I might as well. All right. What's up? Oh, look at this. We've got Michael Kills. I know you by a different name. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing all right, man.
Good, good. Got a good laugh out of Junior on this one, huh?
Yeah, that I did.
Yeah. So I got this Boba Fett thing I've never seen. And
All right.
yeah, like I've read certain things about this, but not enough to sway my opinion either way. So let's take a look. Let's take a gander.
All right.
All right. It's a bacteriophage.
I am not a bounty hunter. I've heard otherwise. I know that you sit on the throne of your former employer.
Is that Din Djarin?
Jabba ruled with fear. I intend to rule with respect.
I don't know.
You were all once captains under Jabba the Hutt.
I'm here to make a proposal that's mutually beneficial. Why speak of conflict when cooperation can make us all rich?
What prevents us all from killing you and taking what we want?
If you had spoken such insolence to Jabba, he'd have fed you to his menagerie.
Please, speak freely.
All right. I'm gonna have I like this sort of
I know that you sit on the throne.
okay, these images right here. So right away, Random Brad's going, yeah, Boba Fett's my favorite character.
Mm-hmm.
Does Boba Fett seem out of character to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Boba Fett. Did you see the holiday special?
Yes.
Okay. So we know from the holiday special that Boba Fett was a fucking corrupt, as bad as they come bounty hunter. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first time we saw him. We also know that through the prequels, Boba Fett lost his father and that he is an identical clone to the Jango Fett template. Right? So we got like a little bit of story there. Did you watch Clone Wars? Did you see all that shit?
That part, no. Well, I've seen a little bit, not all of it.
Okay. So we get the story that Boba grew up during the fall of the Jedi, through the purge. He came up and he became what he became, which was a take no shit fucking badass who hired mercenary. His morals were who paid him. That was his morals. And if you get in the way of that shit, then we have a problem. But now suddenly, and I'm thinking that his time in the Sarlacc pit, probably like that was his Buddha tree. Is that
Mhm.
what happened? He had some sort of epiphany. What do you think happened, Mike?
Well, first of all, we don't even see the pit. I was so bummed that we haven't seen him like pop out of the pit.
I know.
You know, like, when they were gonna make when James Gunn was going to come out like and make that movie originally, that was the first I remember like that was the first footage was like him coming out of the pit.
Yeah.
And then when we get the series for the Mandalorian, we just know that he's back. He wanted his armor back. That's it.
Sure.
So it's like I want to know more about like what happened in the pit. I want to know what's making him change this dramatically.
Yeah. Honestly, that's what led to me selecting that image as the thumbnail tonight. So he's basically like twisted up in this tentacle of the Sarlacc. That's there's teeth or whatever. It's like some like not sexy Japanese weird porn movie. You know what I mean? And but like he's in there, he's all fucked up, and what he's thinking about his life. He's like, what the fuck? What the fuck led up to this? How did my life? It's almost like you want to see like a shot from way up high, and it's like the Sarlacc pit, and it's like zooming in, and it's just like Ragnarok, where he's like, "Hi, I'm Boba Fett, and here I am in the Sarlacc pit. How the fuck did this happen to me?"
Right?
Yeah, like maybe. And maybe that's the tease right there. Maybe because like that's what your heart wants when you watch this. You're like, well, how the fuck did he get out of that shit?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we'll get that in a flashback.
Well, that's what I'm hoping for, at least. Because I mean, they have to do something about explaining that.
Yeah,
they have to, and it's also like too. I'm also kind of curious, like, if you ever played the Jedi Academy video game on Xbox or play PC at the time, like, but there's a scene where Boba Fett goes after like one of your Jedis because he was all angry. And he was like, Luke's like, yeah, he's still kind of pissed off at me or whatever. So it's like, like, is he still gonna be pissed off at Luke for, I don't know, I guess ideally trying to save his friends, but still, throwing him into the pit almost with the,
totally.
trying to jetpack away.
Well, there was an old Vader comic, and I don't know if it was EU or if this was just like like the last series or something, where Vader, and this is between episode 4 and episode 5. He's like, who the fuck was that blew up my Death Star? And he dispatches Boba Fett to figure it out. And Boba Fett goes and fights Luke Skywalker at Obi-Wan's old hut. And Luke Skywalker is clumsy as fuck, but he ends up with a little help from R2 besting Boba Fett. So Boba Fett returns to Vader, and Vader's like, so what have you for me, bounty hunter? And he's like, I just got a name. I don't know who the fuck this kid is, but he kicked my ass. Who is this? His name is Skywalker. And Darth Vader just like he gets so mad that he breaks the glass on the bridge,
Yeah.
That's Boba Fett. And it takes like a Jedi or the son of the chosen one to kick his ass. Okay.
Right.
A guy like that facing death, like how many times has he faced death? And he's in the Sarlacc pit, and suddenly he wants to change his whole fucking life. Is that what we're getting?
Lord, I hope that maybe that's just the teaser teasing us, and then maybe we're not actually getting that. And on top of that, I heard, like, I don't know if you heard, but like Robert Rodriguez is directing a lot of these episodes, and I like Robert Rodriguez.
Okay.
And I also know that. Oh, go ahead.
Maybe this is a misdirection, is what you're saying. Maybe he's like sitting down and talking a bunch of shit about breaking bread, but he's actually going to pull out blasters and just annihilate everybody.
Yeah. Like something of that kind of sort. I mean, at least that's what, because I feel like that's something what Robert Rodriguez would do. But again, here's the thing. And I also heard rumors like he was frustrated under Disney right now because they're probably giving him a whole bunch of like, well, you can't do this, you can't do that. And it's like,
Sure.
you know, if Robert Rodriguez had full control, you know something more was going to be put in place.
Well, yeah, something like Boba Fett taking over Jabba's empire should be like the Sopranos in space.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And if we're in the same like Mandalorian time frame, you know, Luke Skywalker is at his peak as a Master Jedi. There is a vacuum of power where the Empire once existed and where the Empire was able to pose a threat and keep the underworld fearful and underground. There is not that infrastructure anymore, so they can just fucking do whatever they want now. It's like the Wild West.
Yep.
Which you would think somebody with Boba Fett's character would rule like a mob boss.
Yeah. He's definitely got to be the ultimate something of Tatooine, I guess. I mean, whether mob boss or just this ultimate, you know, badass, you know, just killing machine kind of thing. I mean, there's just, yeah, I don't know. I mean, when you watch this trailer, you're just kind of like, oh, you know, it's like you're excited to see Boba Fett because he's just such a badass character, but at the same time, you're watching this, it's like, ugh.
Yeah. We have there he is again, fucking helmeted. Random Brad says, I'm highly doubtful we get the Sarlacc pit flashbacks, maybe.
Oh, Brad, no.
He says, you know why we won't get that, Taylor? It's because you want it and because it's Disney. Remember?
You're absolutely right.
Okay.
Brad hits it right on the money. He hits it right on the money every time on that. I mean, we all could be wrong, and we still get a Sarlacc pit storyline in the flashback sequence or something. But yeah,
possibly, you know. Or maybe Boba Fett like wakes up in the middle of the night, going like, ugh, and he's like, you know, fighting tentacles that aren't there.
It's possible too. They could have him have a nightmare scene, and he's just like, ugh, okay, that's over. It's like, what? Okay,
something like that, or like he's, you know, he has a dancing girl like a fucking Twilight, and he turns around and like her, you know, those things back there, and he's like,
well, and I just brought up something. He would also bring in like his dad. He would bring in a lot of those creatures, like those with Django, like the monsters that he could go capture, especially a Rancor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's that fucking.
You gotta have that dragon too.
Yeah.
Because if he's going to be a ruler like Jabba, and if he's going to go more, I guess you want to say gangster or more chaotic, he would have to have like more of the creatures in this too.
I agree. So I want to kind of believe like you're saying, like maybe this is just a setup, and he's talking ethics, and he's like, look, we're gonna hold hands and hug people and, you know, kiss boo-boos now. But that's not going to earn any respect. And then they went through all this trouble to show what's her name, the fucking the sidekick lady.
Yeah, I can't think of her. She had an interesting name. I just can't remember it though. But yeah,
shot in the gut, bitch. That's what we're gonna call her. And then they her. She, you know, and she's sitting there like he's on the throne, and she's all like, "Careful, that's motherfucker you're talking about," you know. So, what's Disney's game here? And here's also a thought that I have, that there were a certain amount of projects that Kathleen Kennedy greenlit, and that there was a certain direction that Star Wars committed to prior to the lessening of her influence in that particular sphere. So now that Favreau and Filoni are on that horse and they have the reins, how much of Kathleen Kennedy's bullshit are we going to have to be forced to consume before we get to real story. And then did she have any help in shaping this story, or is this purely Favreau only?
It's that well. Here's the thing: the story is going to be definitely Jon Favreau and Filoni. Okay, we know that's going to be those guys because they don't trust Kathleen Kennedy with the 2-foot pole.
Right.
Okay, she's just basically sitting in an office at this point with her mouth closed. Okay, because that's what they're doing. They're just giving her money just to say stupid shit, basically. But she can't do anything about the projects anymore. They're not going to allow her to do that. Basically,
right.
So it really comes down to Filoni and Favreau. But at the same time, even though that they care, but unfortunately they can't. It's kind of like a really strong restriction with the business, especially with Disney. So even though they care, I truly believe that they care, but Disney itself has their own agenda. So they want to do whatever they want to make the money, make the profit.
Yeah.
So there's a totally different separation there.
They spent a lot of money getting the sequel trilogy made, and that because they have such an investment in that, you're seeing through ancillary product, mostly comic books and novels, that they are doing their best to pave that out in Star Wars, like have it be part of canon. Like everything that we're seeing has to somehow culminate in that possibility of Kylo Ren and all that shit happening.
Yep.
I've heard that there might be some surprises as far as like putting that in its own little pocket universe, and that's what I'm hoping for. But I'm thinking that we're just going to have to deal with a certain amount of spoonfuls of shit in our pudding called Star Wars.
You're absolutely right. There's a lot of truth to that because what was I going to say on this? Like there was that on the everything that's going on with the Mandalorian, that with characters like Gina Carano's out, all this stuff's going out, so they got all this stuff, so they're going to keep doing all whatever BS that they can give us. And I also heard just recently, whether it's true or not, I can't take it with the greatest salt, that they're talking about the whole clone of Emperor Palpatine in the Mandalorian.
That's true. They were.
So they're because Jon Favreau said something about like, yeah, we had to, or we're doing that for the sequel trilogy of Star Wars. So they're throwing that in there. Now they could go a different direction to it, though.
That's true.
Where they could kind of push that off, like, yeah, we're doing it, but they could kind of be smart about it and push it off if they wanted to. It's a hard call because I don't know how you can with being under the Disney tie. If I mean, I understand that Disney wants to make money and all that stuff, but at the same time, the way they're going about it,
Sure. Well, we got one last piece here. It says Tamura, New Zealand guy, as Boba Fett is a good actor. I always loved his role in Once We Were Warriors. I do believe he is a good actor, and George Lucas was right in casting him as the Fett prototype, as the clone, and I think it is a evidence that perhaps his hand might be hidden in this. Like he can't officially be part of this universe anymore because he sold it, but I bet he was like, that Tamura guy, he's about as old as Boba Fett would be had he survived the pit. So I'm hoping for the best, but I'm like the girlfriend that you slapped, like I'm not going to be as sweet to you this time.
Right. No, right. That's a good call. I mean, it's just like, how many times are we going to see something like we all like and it's going to go down?
Yeah.
It's going to get destroyed. And my only question is maybe Disney's going to be smart. Maybe they will sell to Lucasfilm. Maybe this is also another ploy for them to say, hey, you know what, we screwed up. We don't want the property, so maybe they try to do some kind of retcon. And then the other question becomes, who picks up Lucasfilm afterwards?
Very good questions. I guess we'll find out. Are you planning on watching Book of Boba?
I'll give it a shot. I mean, I still have my Disney Plus subscription.
Uh-huh. I mean, I know a lot of people who said that Gina getting fired was the last straw, and they canceled and frustration. Yeah. But you kept yours?
Because I have it under the Hulu package.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
and I'm like, and the thing is, I could get rid of it, but I also have like my dad watching a lot of the old Disney stuff, so it's like I kind of like, well, if he's, because I'm letting him use it also under.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, well, I'll just keep it for now. But I haven't really personally watched anything on there right now. But yeah, I'll give it a watch just to kind of see what they do, because I'm curious, because if Robert Rodriguez is attached to it, making a lot of these episodes, I'm kind of curious to see how and what they're going to do. But I also have heard too. I know I heard that he was also frustrated with Disney. So it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to handle a lot of it.
Yeah, definitely. I do plan on watching Boba Fett, but not enthusiastically. This is not the Star Wars thing that I really want to see Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, well, I guess I'll watch Book of Boba Fett, but where the fuck is Obi-Wan? We know that Boba Fett is not it's not in the same time frame that Obi-Wan is set in. So there's no way that he could, unless he somehow goes out to the hut that's still there. But I would have thought that Luke would have turned Obi-Wan's hut into some sort of Jedi shrine by the time of a Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah,
it's a time killer for me. I like Boba Fett, but I don't like him as much as like Darth Vader, and I'm not as much, like he's a good character. I get it. There's some good stories there, but I don't go to Star Wars for Boba Fett. He's just kind of like part of Han Solo's ride in my head, Maybe the Book of Boba Fett will change that. Clone Wars kind of made me appreciate him a little bit more, because you saw him as a kid. He was kind of dealing with questions of life, like, who the fuck am I? Am I just another clone like all these other 100 million motherfuckers running around with my face?
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe. I do got one last story here, and you're welcome to hang out and kind of explore this with me. I thought this was funny. I thought this was a great way to end the show, because it sort of says what we all want to do, and it sort of shows the possibilities. Like, humans and people in our society and people who deal with infrastructure automatically assume some things are fact. But what we have here is a Russian man who tricks a bank into signing a ridiculous credit card agreement. How Dmitry Agarkov got a bank to give him money because of his own late fees. I actually heard this on the radio, and I thought it was so fucking badass. I wanted to read it to you guys. Dmitry Agarkov had just gotten home from work. The Moscow-based businessman was going through a pile of mail on his desk, most of which was junk. He spotted a unique credit card offer from Tinkoff Bank that ticked him off. Fuck this bank, he must have said to himself. The agreement advertised 0% interest rates, but when he looked closer, it was clear that the real rate was 43%. That's almost half.
Yuck.
And this sounds sarcastic. I'm not sure why this triggered him, as that sounds like many credit card companies, albeit slightly higher. Perhaps in his own midlife crisis, he decided to channel his malice at the bank and went on a mission to stick it to him. The offer came on your standard printout credit card application. You fill it out, send it in, and wait for a response. He scanned the contract into his computer and loaded it into his document viewer. Then he changed the agreement terms, ensuring the font and text matched what was listed. The credit card would now be 0% interest indefinitely. He also added that the customer is not obliged to pay any fees and charges imposed by bank tariffs. In a subtle stroke of genius, Dmitry then updated the listed contract website on the agreement, knowing that it would void out what he was changing. Instead, the link now listed a new website, a makeshift one he'd thrown together in a few minutes with the agreement pasted in. One of the first defenses of a card company uses is, if you'll see the website listed on the contract. Okay. So he's changing the legalese. Going for the banking jugular. If that wasn't enough, he also listed a contingency that if the bank attempted to sue him or claim interest payments or make adjustments to the said contract, they would owe him a cancellation fee of at least 6 million rubles, $182,000 at the time. He signed his version of the contract and mailed it out. Agarkov didn't expect them to sign. He did, however, know there was a chance, given the high volume of these credit card facilities, which lead to sloppy operations. Sounds like a good girlfriend. 2 weeks later, he received this credit card and the confirmed signed contract. He was incredulous. There was no better credit card contract in the world. Any bank lawyer would have been fired on the spot for writing this agreement. Dmitry goes out into the world using this card. There are no issues. However, 2 years later, his business starts to struggle and he falls behind on his payments. His bank canceled his credit card and issued a legal notice that he was being sued for $1,063. And so the trap was set. I need a sip of man beverage after this. Hail Dmitry. You did what we're all thinking, sir. The legal unfolding and sending it back at them. Dmitry refused to pay and took the bank to court. The great irony is that the bank went to court with a defense. We haven't actually read the contract we signed. Uh-oh. Wah, wah, wah. It is the very defense used against them by struggling customers who the bank rarely shows mercy on. I'm assuming this is translated from Russian, so I'm going to forgive them their grammar faux pas because this is so savage. Look at it from a more simple view. The bank sent the customer, Dmitry, an offer, and the customer sent back a counter offer. The bank signed it. It's a very simple contractual exchange. I love this shit. The judge agreed. The bank was on the hook for the money. They ordered that Dmitry only had to repay the original amount, $575, which goes to show how damaging interest payments are. The extra $788 was all interest. Still not satisfied, Dmitry initiated his own lawsuit against the bank for $727,000, citing the portion of the contract which gave him the right to sue if they made a claim on his interest payments. The 727 also included damages and legal fees. By this point, the case had received significant media attention in Russia. It was a black eye to the Tinkoff Bank, aka Tinkoff Credit System, making them look stupid. And stupid they did look. Tinkoff Systems didn't want to risk losing a second time to Dmitry, so it went into arbitration. They gave Dmitry an undisclosed, though presumably large sum of money. This entire scheme might have been, they might have gotten away with it if it weren't for these damn kids. It might have been sneaky, says the article, but no more so than any other credit card contract. And for the record, this wouldn't likely work in the United States. Contractual changes usually need to be listed or called out explicitly rather than just buried inside of a contract. You can't play Where's Stephen Walton with contractual amendments. Even further, most credit card contracts in the U.S. come pre-signed by the bank. Company lawyers usually have red ink wars for months and months over these agreement changes. But I suppose the article says it's different if you're a little guy versus a corporation, and even more different if you're in Mother Russia. Always read contract. Somebody buy this man a beer and give him a blowjob. I fucking love this guy. He is my hero.
No, he gets more drunk. He gets Moscow Mule and vodka, and then he gets 5 women.
That's right. Hail Dmitry, you champion. Everybody knows that the Russians were founded by Vikings. Look at this handsome man. He's like, yeah, fuck you. You heard what I did. You can hand over your daughter or I'll just come and take her. He kind of looks like the most interesting man in the world. You remember that guy?
Which one?
From the Dos Equis commercial, the most interesting man in the world.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Fucking A. So the moral of the story is it's okay for banks to do this to you, but it's not okay if you do it back to the bank. You know, and what the fuck, man? So this is why I picked this for the last article, because yes, you do have power, little man.
Yeah.
Despite what Hollywood wants to tell you, despite what the rags want you to believe about modern male impotence, like limp dickedness, you have power. And the power of word is so fucking pervasive. The power of word, the very thing that's under attack right now in modern society. So fucking keep to your word. Keep your back straight. Keep your balls low and swinging, and take a swig off that beer as we end the broadcast. One last final savage salute. Here is to us. What's like us? Not a goddamn thing. Take it easy. Have a good night, guys.